Well, guys, it is finally here. This is the 2025 financial goals. And I'm sorry I haven't got it out to you till about the end of February. But the good news is that's because I've already been working on a lot of this in the background. I've had this figured out for about a month, what I needed to work on, and I've been pretty busy actually getting it taken care of. So, well, what are the goals? Well, the first goal for this year is not so much a financial goal as it is just a goal in general. But that's to get my passport. And I'm 39 years old. It's time. I don't know why I don't have it by now, but I need to. I need to get it. And I will say that some people might think that I don't even need to put this on the list because it should be such a simple task that I can just go and apply for the passport and then go get the passport. But as I said, I've started working on these goals, and for me in particular, it's actually quite a bit more difficult to get a passport than I think it's really supposed to be. But I will have to go over those details when I give you the 6-month update, and hopefully by then I've got all or most of it sorted out anyhow. But that is the first goal for the year, and that's the only goal really on this list that's not explicitly financial. The second goal is to find a replacement for Mint, and along with that, to decide on a format for future budget review videos. Now, to give a little backstory, I used Mint from 2010 to 2024 when it shut down. So 14 years of transactions that were categorized. And that gave me a ton of financial information about myself. And more importantly, it gave me something visual where I could create videos every month to show you guys how my month went and what progress I made. But in, I think it was March of 2024, Mint shut down. And as you guys know, I hadn't been making those videos for about 2 years prior, just because my life fell apart. And so as part of getting my life back on track, I need to get back to making that type of video, but more importantly, categorizing every transaction and tracking my expenses like that. Now, I do have income coming in now, so it's not like I'm not able to afford my expenses, but I would like to keep better track of where all the money's going. But even more importantly is that I've always intended to get back to making those monthly budget reviews. Now, the Budget With Me videos, maybe not. They were always ones that weren't all that popular, except with people that were super into budgeting. But with the budget reviews, I think people really were interested, whether it was they wanted to see where the money was going or they just wanted to see the net worth graph at the end so that they could see like how much progress I'd made overall. And that is one thing that I really wish that I did have, because I want you guys to have a visual representation. I mean, I can sit here and I can tell you, hey, now that I've got money coming in, things are better. I've been able to pay off a lot of debt, and I generally have enough money to get by month to month, but it's hard to believe if you can't see it. And I want to be able to see it myself as well. I think it would be a lot more motivating if I could just watch a bar graph of my income going up or my debts going down or of my net worth going up. And the second part of that is, once that is completed, to find a software that is a replacement for Mint, and therefore I can get more organized and back on track and start making those type of videos again. I have to figure out the format for the new budget review videos. And that is because in the past I've tracked where every dollar went, and I reported how every dollar was spent. I've aired my concerns about doing that in the future, in previous videos, but essentially I need to find what format is going to work now and indefinitely into the future, so that I don't have to worry about revealing too much information as more and more people come to the channel, but at the same time I can be transparent about what is going on with my finances. Currently, I'm sort of thinking that the way to do that might be to not show an every dollar breakdown of my expenses, but to show at least the largest sources of my income. You know, if I get $10 or $20 from something here random, maybe I don't need to include that. But from the biggest sources of income, I'd like to show a pie chart every month, and then I'd like to show the debts decreasing, and I'd like to show the net worth graph. I think that the most private of the information is probably about where the money's going, and maybe that's what ends up getting cut out, but I'll have to see, and that's also going to depend on whatever software I find to replace Mint, just what is available on there, like what features they have, because I might not even find something that is comparable. And then the third goal is to pay off all of the remaining invoices from the lawsuit. So I filed the lawsuit in November of 2022, and I called off the lawsuit in January of 2024. But the big thing is, during discovery, I had a lot of invoices coming in from my depositions and from service, getting documents served on people. So I have been paying on that since September of this year. So there was a gap there where I wasn't paying anything because I just didn't have the money. But then as soon as I got this job, I set up a payment plan with them where I've been making monthly payments. There's not a set amount, and as I said in my 2024 financial goals review video, I did scale back the amount that I'm paying each month to $125. So we're just chipping away at this bit by bit while having the rest of my money free to pay off other things, even if it's other debts, because that's primarily where it's going. The remaining balance on those invoices is $1,176.26. That is for my depositions, and then once that's paid off, there is one invoice to pay the process server, and that's $75. So there's no interest or fees being charged on this, so I'm free to kind of pay it a little bit slowly as long as it's getting paid off and I make monthly payments, which is what I promised them. So that's why I cut it down a little bit. And yeah, it will make it so that it's a slower process, but I don't lose any money because there's no interest on it. And with paying that $125 per month, or possibly paying a little bit more if I'm able to, then still they should be on schedule to be paid off by the end of the year. And then that means that that's the end of the expenses from the lawsuit. That's one thing I can cross off, and then that $125 can go to another type of debt to get that paid off faster. My fourth goal is to just file my 2024 taxes on time. You guys know I got behind on my taxes. I still have not filed for 2021 or 2022, which is on the radar, but that deadline for 2024 taxes is coming up quickly. So the good news is I did get 2023 filed before the extension deadline in October of 2024, and now I know what I owe, and it's just waiting until I have the money to pay it. And what I want to do is, number one, I want to get my 2024 taxes filed by the deadline, which I think this year is April 15th of 2025. So for the first time since spring of 2021, which you guys know is when my life fell apart, I will be on time filing my taxes. And then I am going to have the 2023 taxes, which I still owe. Now I do want to get those paid off this calendar year as well. So that was a little bit confusing, but basically it's to get the 2024 taxes filed on time by the deadline and to get the 2023 taxes that I owe paid off by the end of this year. And as far as getting the 2023 taxes paid off, I think I owe approximately $2,300 on that, plus about $100 to the school district that I file in. And I do owe a city tax, although I'm not sure what the amount is on that. I mean, it's going to be a fairly small amount. So I now know how much I owe, and it's just a matter of figuring out how to pay it. Well, as you guys can see, my money is pretty tied up because I'm on payment plans with a lot of different things trying to pay them off. But I do have a little bit of money, like it's a fairly small amount, but it's a couple $100s a month that I should begin to receive fairly soon here. Maybe potentially some life changes coming up here pretty soon here that I can fill you guys in a little bit more on here in the coming months. But I should be getting a little bit extra money. And then as the invoices for the lawsuit get paid off, and as things like my credit card that I'm on a payment plan get paid off, those things can also go toward the taxes until that's paid. And then the fifth goal is just to save $1,000 in my emergency fund. There's not really reason for it being $1,000 other than I've already been saving since I got my check from this job for the first time in September of 2024. I mean, obviously I know to put money away, but because I've already been putting money away and I know that I need to put more in there, I looked at it and I thought that 1,000 would be just a solid number to get to by the end of the year. And currently I had $541 and some odd cents as of a couple days ago. Now, I did take $300 of that, so there's $241 and some cents that is in there, which essentially makes it so the goal is almost a quarter accomplished. But the reason I took that $300 out is essentially because I have to rent a car for something, and although I'm in the process of paying my credit card off, there wasn't enough available credit to get the car and to pay the deposit. So I took $300 out, made a credit card payment, so at least it's going toward debt, which leaves enough available credit to cover the deposit, which of course I'll get back. It's just, I'll be able to rent the car. It's just that the money that was in the savings account will now be an amount that's paid off on the credit card. It's less liquid, but it still counts the same in my net worth calculation, I guess, if that makes sense. So that remaining $241 that's in there will be the basis, and then built on top of that will be the remainder up to $1,000. And it should be well over $1,000 because with the $241 in there now and then paying $125 every month for the rest of the year, I should be good. And then after I cross that $1,000 threshold, there will be the question of, do I continue saving into the emergency fund, or do I start putting this toward debt, or do I start putting this into some sinking funds? And I'll address that when I get there. I'll figure out what my financial situation looks like and what would be best at that point. And then the last thing is not really a goal, but you guys probably noticed here that I didn't mention anything about the car. And we know that the car is super high mileage and pretty decrepit, and I pretty much just use it to go to the grocery store. And the thing about the car is I don't have anywhere near enough money to buy a new car. I also, even if I had enough to put down a big deposit, I don't want to add an additional monthly payment for a car payment. I couldn't afford to do that anyway because my money's all tied up in paying off all these agreements I have to get caught up on debt. So I can't afford to buy a car outright. I can't afford to buy a car with a loan. And I also really can't afford to fix this car. Even though I could put money away for car repairs, there's so much wrong with this car that it's not really worth fixing. I mean, it gives me a huge value to be able to drive to the grocery store and a few other things. But in looking at the actual numbers, like, it doesn't make sense to put money into this car. I'll still get the oil changed. I've got a tire that's leaky that seems to be leaking more quickly right now. I might have to get that replaced. But like, in general, I'm not doing major repairs to this car. Like, the heat doesn't work, things like that. I'm not going to get that fixed. There's a lot of things that are probably very expensive that need fixed on it, and each of those items is probably more than the car is worth. So I'm trying not to lose money on it in that way. Long term, what I do with the car is going to be a little bit difficult to say right now at this point. Cars are expensive, and if I could get away with not having one, I wouldn't have one. Especially because my car insurance just went up again, only by $1, but still, 2 years ago it was $40 a month, and now it's $104 a month for no reason. So basically, you've got maintenance, gas, depreciation, insurance. Cars are expensive, and I really am not in a place to do anything with it right now. So with the car, the reason I'm not putting any money toward it or making that any part of my financial goals, even though it's a big thing that I have in my life that still needs fixed in some way, because it's a big financial thing that is a big mess right now. It's not on the horizon for like a year or 2 years to get this fixed, because there's just no money in it. I'm just going to focus on getting everything else paid off and saving up money. And if it dies in the meantime, I will just get groceries other ways, and get rid of the car entirely. But for now, I'm just going to hope that it goes for like a year or two and see how things go. And maybe when things are more comfortable, I'll be in a better place where I can figure out something to do with it. But again, if I can find a way to just not have one at all, that would be great. And I know this video is somewhat optimistic and I'm goal setting and everything, but I feel like with the way the world is right now, I have to put a caveat here. I'm making all these goals to better my situation, obviously, and I should be doing that. But there's a lot of stuff in the world right now that is really unstable, and I have no idea what's going to happen. It seems like the banks might shut down, or we might be invaded by Canada. I have no idea what's happening, and there's no way to plan for that. So all I'm saying is I'm doing this stuff for now, and if situations change and something drastic happens, I will have to change the plan, because obviously I'll have to switch from trying to plan for the future to just trying to survive right now. And it seems weird that things are real enough right now that I have to consider that as part of the plan of, you know, well, our bank's going to exist next month. So yeah, just know that while I'm setting these goals, it's going to depend on current events whether I stick to this or whether I have to change everything completely. And then, of course, in early July, when I make the 6-month update, I can let you know what has happened with that. And hopefully it doesn't come to any of that, but, you know, it's just one day at a time right now. So I'm sorry that ended up negatively, but I'm sure you guys know what's going on in the world. So I will leave these here. Like I said, I've already started making progress on some of these goals, and I'm just going to stick to doing this the rest of the year. And if I get them done, well, then I'll be back on track on a lot more things that I need to get back on track with. And I'm just wondering for the comments for any Americans out there, or, well, even Canadians, because it seems like we're headed to war. What are you guys doing? What are you changing about your financial plans in case war happens or some other huge thing? Are you changing any of the ways that you operate financially or setting different goals. I'm just wondering if I'm the only one out here doing this. But as of now, none of the major things have affected me yet, so I'm just gonna keep going on and take it one day at a time and just adjust the goals and my financial behavior as needed to make the best financial decision I can at the time. One final thing, if you guys aren't following me on Instagram, I am posting more regularly over there now, and they're generally things that I don't post on YouTube. So if you want to see more content and some behind the scenes stuff, follow me over there. It's just the MarkGoudy. I'll put a link either down in the description or in the pinned comment, so you can find that. And I will see you guys next month with another video.